I'm solving real Excel problems straight from Reddit, turning your challenges into simple solutions. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to use an XLOOKUP to search over two different columns and not return duplicates. Then I'm going to show you how to create a sequence of counts as well as a nice summary. And then I'm going to show you how to give a warning or a conditional format for multiple criteria. Each of these is a quick fix you can use straight away, so let's just jump straight in. Ever tried looking up values across two different columns and ended up with duplicates like turnips? Yeah, that's the wrong way. So let me show you the right way using IFERROR and XLOOKUP. So here's the problem. They have an XLOOKUP scanning two separate columns. If both columns have the same result, then it comes back with a double result. If, for example, if column A and B both have turnips, then they get the result turnips, which is definitely not what we want. So as you can see, I've got my data in column A and B, and then I've got my lookup values, and then I've used the same formula that they used in their post. And as you can see, we've got double turnips here, which is obviously not the way to do it. And this is something that most people miss, is the not found parameter within the XLOOKUP function. And then what that allows us to do is actually to nest this XLOOKUP within that first XLOOKUP, and we're going to put it in place of these quotation marks. So let's put that in, and as you can see, it works okay for the first two, but then for grapes and pears it just doesn't seem to find a match. And I've got a feeling that this is due to the first XLOOKUP actually erroring. So as you can see, that returns no result, and then it just kind of stops. So the way around this is actually pretty simple, and we can use an if error statement. So we're going to make use of the fact that that's erroring, and then if that is an error, we're going to do our XLOOKUP. So let's just remove these. So now, and we close that as well, and then now when we have an error, it does the second XLOOKUP. And as you can see, that works perfectly. Ever needed Excel to track how many times something shows up in a list, like car registrations that appear again and again? Let me show you a formula trick that not only counts each instance of it in a list, but also creates a nice summary and a little unique trick as well. Nice. So here's the challenge. We have car registrations in a column, and we want to add a column that will count but also show a 1 next to the first entry and then a 5th next to the 5th entry. So basically a running count of duplicates. You might be thinking, oh, that's easy, just use a COUNTIF, apply it to the whole range and set your criteria and it will work. But as you can see, that counts how many times the value exists overall in this list, not where you're up to in the sequence. So the real trick here is to actually use a move-in range. So let's change this to use row numbers, and we're going to fix the first row. So this way, when we drag it down, our end row moves, but our first one doesn't. So now this is looking at the previous values all above it and then doing the count. So you end up with a true sequence of values. So let's take this one step further and actually create a summary table. So we're going to make use of the unique function, which is just going to grab all the unique values in that range, which worked perfectly, but as you can see, it's got a 0 at the end, and that's because somewhere in this column they're blank values. So the way to actually fix this, a little neat trick, is to add a dot just after the colon, and that will trim any blanks. So now it's gone and got no zeros. Then just pair that with a little COUNTIF and do it the traditional way. Check the whole column and check that data. Then drag it down, and boom, got a clean summary, and it tells you exactly how many times it appears in the sheet. So do you need Excel to check multiple columns for multiple criteria and then either give a warning or highlight the row when that's the case? And let me just show you how to do that. So here's the challenge. Need a formula to search column B for the value of 1, column C for the value of C, and then if that's true, then return conflict in column D. And then as a bonus, we're going to highlight that row. So I've created a slightly uglier version than theirs, and to find out the conditions, we're going to make use of the if. Traditionally, the logical test would be one criteria, so the way to sneak one in there is to use the AND function. And then we're going to check if B2 equals 1 and if C2 is equal to C. Then if true, return the word conflict. If false, just leave it blank. So that's correctly returned that result. Let's drag it down, and as you can see, it has returned the word conflict. But this isn't that obvious. You could filter on that, for example, but it's not very clear to see. So I want to add in some conditional formatting to make this a little bit better. So we're going to go to the Home tab, Conditional Formatting, New Rule, use a formula, and then we're going to make use of the AND again. So if B2 is equal to 1 and C2 is equal to C, we don't need to put anything else because it's just true or false. And then we'll make it this weird pinky color. And as you can see, nothing seems to have happened, and that's because our applies to is only C, so that's just not what we want. So let's apply it to the whole column instead. I press apply, still nothing changes, and the reason for that is this row reference is fixed by the $, so let's just remove that. Press apply, and another weird quirk is this is off by 1. Obviously that's the first conflict and not this one. So the reason for that is because we selected the whole column A to C, but we're starting at 2, so it's like offset by 1. So let's just make that 1 and that 1. Now when we apply, it's worked it out correctly. So there you have it. We've solved some Excel problems in just a few minutes. If you found this video helpful in any way, please drop a like and comment below on any questions that you want me to answer in the future. And don't forget to subscribe so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.